Donna, the accounting lady here. This is going to be pretty quick. I am anxious to get out the door and up into the mountains. It's a beautiful day here in Utah and they are calling me. So I'm really excited for it. As always, if you enjoy these videos, if you feel like you're learning something from them, if you like them at all, please like, share, and subscribe. Um, Follow me and let me know. When I see those likes and those subscriptions, it helps me to know that I'm kind of on the right track with what you, my viewers, want to hear. And sometimes I talk about things you don't necessarily want to hear, but you need to know, and I'm really trying to do that too. So today I want to talk a little bit about allocating your resources if you have a lot of debt and you don't have any savings. Some of this is kind of taken from Dave Ramsey's financial, I don't remember the name of it now. It's from Dave Ramsey. He does talk about you need to pay down your debt and you need to have a savings plan. Now, I'm not one of those that thinks debt is evil. I think you can use it wisely to build your credit. And I also think that there's times when it's completely appropriate to use your credit. Um, I can think of it more as leveraging. I don't use my credit to purchase things that is just spending, but I do use it to invest a lot in myself. So I am going back to college. I am taking out loans for this. I am aware of the interest rates and I know how much I owe all the way across the board. And I'm actually, I'm paying them down as I go to school. But if you have a lot of credit card debt, and so I know student loans are a huge issue, especially for the millennial generation and the upcoming generation after them. I think they're calling it Generation Z. Um, yes, continuing education is expensive. It's expensive from the time you leave high school till the day you die if you continue to invest in yourself and to grow your knowledge. And I really encourage that. But it is, anytime you make an investment in yourself, it is an expense. It is something that you have to invest some money in. So the most common question that financial advisors hear is, should I prioritize paying down debt or should I prioritize my savings? And that's a really good question. That's an excellent question. And a lot of people really struggle with that. And my answer to that would be yes. You want to pay down your debt as quickly as you can. And you want to have a plan for that. And that plan probably needs to take into account smallest balances to larger balances as you roll that payment forward. In other words, if you have a small credit card that you've only been paying, that only has a $300 balance, and you have another credit card with a $3,000 balance, and then you have $10,000 worth of student loans, and I know I'm lowballing on that, and maybe $10,000 on a car and $250,000 on a home. What you want to do is you want to start with your lowest balance, and I don't care what the interest rate is. Start with the lowest balance. So if you have a $300 credit card balance and you've been paying $100 a month on that card, continue to do that. Don't use that card till it's paid off. And then take that $100 a month and put it to your next credit card or your next debt payment. This is called the debt snowball. You also want to make sure that you are allocating a certain percentage of your income towards savings. Now, what I've been teaching my kids is to actually try to live on half of their income. They still live at home, so that should be pretty doable. I sat down with them one day and did all the numbers for them, put it up on the whiteboard, and showed them the cost of eating out, just eating out. If you don't eat at home and you eat out every day, how much does that cost? This is where, like I was talking yesterday about what to do after you file bankruptcy, after your bankruptcy is discharged, how to look at your spending and see if this is a problem that's going to come up again and what you can learn from it. Whether you've gone through bankruptcy or not, having a budget and understanding where your money goes is the first step to anything. Again, you can't manage what you don't measure. So if you don't know how much you spend at Starbucks, and you don't know how much you spend at Chipotle, and you don't know whether to buy the $10 avocado toast or just make it at home, for an avocado is usually 88 cents, less than $1, and a loaf of bread is $1, so you can have all the avocado toast you want for $2. um, you need to kind of balance that out. Maybe you decide that, well, I'm out doing things, I'm out with my friends, I do want to eat out tonight, but make sure that fits in your budget. So I teach my kids to live on half of their income. In other words, their living expenses for themselves should be no more than half of their income. The rest needs to be allocated towards some sort of savings. I do tell them when they turn 18, yes, they probably do need to get a credit card, and they need to work with me very closely. I won't pay their bills for them, but they need to work with me very closely to make sure that their spending does not go out of control because they think they have all this money that does have to be paid back. They have been really great about understanding that just because I have a debit card or a credit card does not mean that the money is available for them to do whatever they want. On the other hand, because I'm careful about budgeting my money, there's usually money available. I can usually bring in more clients or do something to bring in additional funds so that my kids do get to do the things they love to do. So far, I paid for 3 Disneyland trips and Boy Scout National Jamboree, and I didn't think I would ever be able to pay for that, any of it. So there is a certain amount of, at least for me, I'm a little bit woo-woo. I do believe in sometimes you have to take a leap of faith, especially if it's an investment, something like that with your kids, and plan for it and hope. But then again, I'm self-employed. So if I decide that I need another $150 a week, I can go out and make that happen. If you work for someone else and you pay it on a W-2, you might not be able to do that as easily. So Americans are famous for living outside of their well, for living on debt. We love our debt. We love our credit cards. Consumer borrowing, according to the Federal Reserve, is about almost $4 trillion is financed. And that does not include mortgages or real estate secured debt like home equity lines. That's just consumer borrowing. So you want to at first, you want to assess and see where you're at. Are you pretty close to paying those credit cards off? Do you have a really long ways to go? What's your budget for paying off credit cards? What if you just allocated 10% of your income towards savings? Put a few $1,000s aside for a rainy day fund. And I know that can sound like a lot of money. A few $1,000s could mean making it or not making it for most people. But put that money aside for like a rainy day fund, a sinking fund. If you end up needing to take that money and putting it on your credit cards, you can. But you want to kind of assess. Are you the kind of person that's very responsible with your credit, and maybe you just kind of financed Christmas or a trip, and you have more on your credit cards than you would like? But the very first step is to see where you're at, and that's the number one question I get from my clients. They want to know where they're at. I do small business bookkeeping and accounting, and that is the question I keep being asked. How do I know where I'm at? So the first thing you want to do is you want to see, where is your money going? And then you want to see, is it going in the most effective and efficient places for me? Like I said, some people are going to have different answers to this question. I decided, well, if you're single and you live alone and you have a big house and you might decide that, you know what, I'm single, I have no kids, I'm going to sell the house and I'm going to buy an RV and I'm going to be a digital nomad. That may work for some people. That's a very cheap lifestyle. Other people may say, no, the house is really important to me. I want to have my wealth tied up in the house, so that's not something I want to do. It's kind of the same thing with dining out. And this dining out is one of those things that I see a lot of people doing a lot of, and it just kind of drives me more than a little bit insane. because with a little bit of planning, they could eat better at home. I've actually seen clients who they ate out almost exclusively, or just at little convenience stores. They would eat at 7-Eleven. And they were quite wealthy, but they were eating at 7-Eleven, and they were eating at McDonald's, and they were eating, and when you would go and look at them, you could tell. You could just tell. They didn't have that glow of health around them. They just looked kind of vaguely sick. And then when I started doing their books and I start seeing how much they're spending on convenience foods, on eating out, and I'm not talking about eating out nice, I mean, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, you know, this constant, and I was like, well, no wonder you have a weight problem, you know, no wonder you don't feel well, no wonder your doctor bills are through the roof, so, and no wonder you can't get a handle on your money, because they were spending it all eating out or buying drinks out. That's another one of my little pet peeves. I don't buy drinks out if I can help it. I probably will when I'm traveling, but for the most part, I bring my stainless steel tumbler and my not a single-use plastic straw. I think I've had this straw for a while. I rinse it out. And if I'm traveling, I will even bring my drinks with me and then just refill the ice. And the reason for that is I drink Diet Coke. Diet Coke, I can get a 12-pack for $3. That's 25 cents a can. So 25 cents for one of these, or $1 to $2 for one of these. So I fill this all the way up with ice. I love my ice. I would sit and chew it if my teeth would let me. It starts to hurt after a while. I can't do it like when I was younger. But you know, this is a 44-ounce tumbler. I'll fill it all the way up with ice. I fill it with my Diet Coke, and the ice stays good all day. It's not a Yeti, actually. It is the Ozark brand that Walmart carries. It's a Yeti copycat. In fact, I think it's made by the same company. But I do this. I look for ways. I'm going to be traveling. What do I need to take with me that's actually going to be cost effective? Food might not be. Drinks and water probably are. And that's the one place where I see people spending a lot of money that they probably shouldn't be spending in that category. That money would be better allocated somewhere else. Money's kind of like time. We can make more money, but most of us are trading dollars for hours, hours for dollars. So most of us, there is kind of a limit on how much we can make. If you're not an entrepreneur, if you're not that type, you've kind of limited your income to whatever your employer wants to pay you. And that's great, but you need to realize that sometimes you might need to budget a certain amount to go out with your spouse or to go out. That's probably my greatest failing, is that I don't go out. I don't go to the movies, and it's not that I don't like movies. I love movies, but I don't, if someone isn't kind of pushing me to go, I don't go. I have other things I want to do with my time. Money's kind of the same way. If you don't spend money over here in dining out, you could put that money towards your credit card debt, or you could put that money towards your savings. Kind of another thing to think about, if you're responsible with your credit and you don't, and debt is not just an albatross, you might decide to pay off all of your credit cards first, and if an emergency arises, it's Amex to the rescue. It's kind of nice to be able to do that, to know that you've got the cards and the lines put aside for emergencies. On the other hand, it's also nice to pay it and know that you've already got the money saved up. So I would recommend some sort of mix between paying off your credit cards and saving something. And I always recommend saving 10% off the bat. I grew up Christian. In fact, I grew up so Christian, I'm a Mormon. And one of the things that I've been taught my whole life is to give 10% to God. And my take on that is, I am a goddess. So I should be getting 10% too. So I do put 10% of my income aside for emergencies, as a sinking fund, for just to kind of know it's there sometimes. Um, and then I have a certain amount of money that I budget for making sure my credit cards are paid up. Do you need to come up with a plan you can stick with? It just kind of determine where your spending priority is. Emergency spending actually really should be a top priority, and following that with spending for the short term. In other words, my kids and I like to go to Disneyland in the fall. We like to go every fall. We went last October for the first time as a family, and it was amazing. And a lot of the reason it was amazing was that I was with my kids, and we were having a great time. And there was no little voice in the back of my head saying, you shouldn't spend that money. You shouldn't have spent that money. What did you spend that money on, Donna? You shouldn't have spent that money, like it does so often. I had planned for it. I knew how much I had to spend. I knew how much everything was going to cost. And in fact, I came home because I had budgeted more than we actually spent. So I came home with money in my pocket, which was nice. You probably should put 10% of your pay towards savings and 10% towards paying off credit card debt. But this emergency savings does need to be a top priority. If you have a very low balance or zero balance credit card, that's the only card you should be allowing to carry a balance. If you have a card that offers you rewards points or cash back, you should not be carrying a balance on those because they usually do have the whopping 25% interest rate, APR. But that's the kind of card I like to use for my day-to-day transactions that I know I'm going to pay off at the end of the month. A lot of financial planners will really get into interest rates as they're coming up with a plan. I don't do that. I go with the smallest balance first and snowball up. If your debt is mostly in student loans, I think talk to your employer and see if you can get some help from them. A lot of employers offer tuition reimbursement in similar programs, so maybe they could help with part of it. So those are just some thoughts that I had on where to allocate your spending. This is primarily for personal accounts, but even for businesses, if you could allocate 10% of your revenue towards savings and keep your debt to a minimum, I'm not saying don't have it because sometimes it's critical, and really think about what you're using the money for as you borrow. If you're a business owner, that money should not be, I've seen this happen. I have seen small business owners get financed. They get a loan from the SBA and they get a big fancy office with all windows and cool lettering on the wall, and the owner pays herself a huge salary. And I'm like, no. That should be going towards things that actually run your business. And if you have to run your business out of a hole in the wall for a while, you do that. And I don't know about any other investors, but for me, that's a signal that you know how to budget your money. I'm just kind of weird that way, maybe. I don't really like to go into, well, I do. I like to go into big, beautiful spaces. But I have had clients that dealt with a smaller office for quite some time, and then were able to move into the big, beautiful space. So understand, if you're working out of a small space and you want to expand your business into a big office, look and see if that's really what your money needs to go to, or are you feeding your ego? And that really is a lot of self-reflection. Sometimes it's kind of hard to face. To be able to say, yeah, I want this big office because I think it's going to make me look good, versus, well, I need a bigger office because my employees and I are straining at the seams, we can't even meet with customers because there's so many of us in this small office. And I've been in both situations, and really I kind of like the smaller offices, knowing that the business owner can pay that. But again, it's a very individual question. The very first step is to find out where you are. That's something that I can help small businesses with. So if you would like to have me help you find out where you are, I do work nationwide. I am headquartered in Pleasant Grove, Utah, where I have been for many years now. I really would like clients in, say, SeaTac, Washington, Portland, Oregon, not Maine. I would like clients on the West Coast, really. And that is because my brother lives by Seattle, not in Seattle, but by Seattle. I have a number of friends who live in the Pacific Northwest. And I'd love to go to Disneyland, so I would like clients in LA as well. So that just means I would have to go see them. So this is kind of it for today, just some food for thought. I'm going to go hiking now. So you guys have a great evening, and I'll talk to you again.